She was the face of the league before she even got to the league.
Caitlin Clark was voted as the future face of, the WNBA in 5 years.
The viewership numbers has been released for Paige and Caitlin last matchup.
Once again, Caitlin Clark continuing to break records non-stop.
2 minutes ago, the entire 1BE world got turned upside down, not by a game winner, not by a buzzer beater, but by pure numbers. Caitlin Clark didn't just show up this season. She crushed every single expectation. From arenas packed beyond, capacity to TV screens blowing up in real time. She just did what nobody thought was possible. She broke the OneBuzz all-time ratings record, and not just by a little, by a landslide. Games that used to fly under the radar, now pulling NFL-level numbers. Brands fighting to sponsor, celebrities flooding the stands. And the craziest part? She's only a rookie. This ain't just basketball anymore. It's cultural. This is generational. This is her moment. So what does this mean for the league? For the haters? For every player who doubted the hype? Buckle up, because what Caitlin Clark just did changed everything. This wasn't just numbers on a screen. This was disruption. Networks that hadn't prioritized the WNBA in decades were now scrambling to secure broadcast rights. ESPN released a statement calling Clark's game the most-watched weekday women's basketball broadcast in history. Ticket prices were tripling overnight, sold out in hours. Even late-night talk shows were suddenly dropping her name like she was A-list Hollywood. Inside the Fever's training facility, the players didn't even know what hit them. Yo, you seeing this? Mitchell held up her phone, eyes wide. Clark's game just pulled in more viewers than any game last season combined. Caitlin walked in quietly, headphones on, but the energy around her had shifted. She wasn't just a teammate anymore. She was the epicenter. But here's the twist. She didn't care about the noise. While the world screamed about her stats, her followers, her impact, Caitlin just wanted...
Caitlin Clark continues to crush the viewership department and bring in those big ratings.
Wanted to hoop. Still, you couldn't ignore what was happening. Gatorade released a statement congratulating her. Nike dropped a surprise collab teaser at halftime during the Fever's last game. Subway, already running a campaign with the tagline, "Eat fresh, shoot deep," featuring none other than number 22 herself. It was madness, and the WNBA had never seen this level of cultural traction ever. But not everyone was celebrating. Behind the scenes, the tension was real. Veteran players, some of them legends, were quietly uneasy. They had worked for years, decades even, with little recognition, little pay, and minimal coverage. And now here comes this rookie, barely a few months in. And she's getting primetime slots, signature deals, global attention. Some smiled in front of cameras, but off record. They were bitter. One unnamed star reportedly said, "She's good, but so are we. Where's our spotlight?" It wasn't jealousy. It was pain, frustration. Years of being overlooked while the system now suddenly bent backwards for someone new. And deep down, Caitlin knew it. She wasn't trying to steal the light, but she couldn't help that it followed her in the Fevers. Locker room cameras had started popping up more often. Practices became media circuses. Road games felt like home games because opposing arenas were filled with her fans. Little girls with 22 drawn on their cheeks. Posters that read, "I skipped school for Caitlin." It was surreal, but it was also heavy after one intense road. When Caitlin sat alone in the tunnel, towel over her head, her voice was caught on a hot mic whispering, "I just wanted to play ball." And that's what made it real. This wasn't just fame, it was pressure. The kind that could crack anyone, but Caitlin. She thrived in it. The next game, she dropped 34 points, 12 assists, and 5 steals. Every shot looked effortless. Every move felt personal, as if she was sending a message not just to fans but to the league. "I belong here. I've earned this," and the ratings. Even higher than before. One sports analyst tweeted, "We're witnessing a shift in
Clark has changed the game. She changed it in college and in the WNBA.
The country has fallen in love with what we have created
in real time." The WNBA's future is now, and her name is Clark. Meanwhile, ticket resale apps reported that prices for her games were now surpassing NBA preseason tickets. It was unheard of, a woman's rookie season pulling more attention than entire men's franchises. This wasn't hype. This was history. And just like that, the rest of the world started paying attention. NBA stars showing up COURTSIDE.celebrities, asking for photo ops. Even President Biden tweeted, "Congrats to Caitlin Clark on making history and putting women's basketball where it belongs, center stage." But amid all the glory, things behind the scenes were starting to shake. One WNBA check leaked that the league's media budget had been restructured. More ads, more coverage, more investment, all because of her. But some team owners weren't happy. Why? It's because their stars, the ones who'd been carrying franchises for years, weren't getting the same shine. A quiet divide was forming. Some were calling it the Caitlin effect. Others, the Caitlin problem. But no matter what side people stood on, the truth was the same. The league had changed, and it would never go back. The question was, could the WNBA handle it? And could Caitlin? Because while the spotlight glowed bright, it also burned. Paparazzi were starting to follow her. Every tweet, every like, every post was dissected one time. She unfollowed a player, and it trended for 3 hours. This wasn't just basketball anymore. This was a celebrity. And she never asked for that, but she couldn't run from it either. So what did she do? She laced up her shoes, and kept dropping 30 every night. Because if she was gonna be the face, then she was gonna make damn sure that numbers backed it up. And tonight, the numbers didn't just back her, they crowned her. The Fever's locker room that night wasn't just loud, it was alive. The players celebrated, not just because they won, but because they knew they were part of something historic. It wasn't just Caitlin's moment. It was the team's rise. Aaliyah Boston wrapped her arm around Clark and said, "You realize you just rewrote the WNBA, right?" Caitlin shook her head. "I just played my game." But outside that room, the world
will be the face of the league in 5 years.
The world saw a revolution. And with that much momentum comes weight. More cameras, more expectations, or people waiting for her to slip. But the truth, Caitlin wasn't slipping. She was building brick by brick, game by game, broadcast by broadcast. The question now wasn't if she was the face of the league. It was, how long? Can she carry it? And what happens if she ever decides to stop? Because one thing was clear by the end of the night. Caitlin Clark didn't just break records. She cracked open the entire future of women's basketball. The WNBA headquarters in New York were buzzing like never before. Meetings were being pulled. Marketing teams were on overdrive. Sponsors were calling with demands. Executives, some, who hadn't attended a game in years, were now asking to sit courtside when Indiana Fever came to town. Internally, it was being called the Caitlin effect. But quietly, it was also being called something else, the reshuffle, because that's what was really happening. Networks were shifting airtime. Brands were redirecting ad money. Journalists who previously ignored the league were now camped at every press conference, and longtime veterans. They were watching from the sidelines, wondering when the spotlight would find them again. One player, who had led her team to the finals just last year, told a teammate in frustration, "It's like we don't exist anymore." And honestly, she wasn't wrong. Caitlin's single quotes as presence wasn't just big. Her jersey was outselling all other players combined. Her games were now being flexed into national primetime. One insider leaked that an entire digital campaign originally planned for multiple teams was quietly restructured to focus on just one player. And this shift was making the league stronger, but also creating fractures inside it. Reporters started asking uncomfortable questions. Do you think Caitlin Clark gets too much attention? Is the WNBA turning into a one-woman show? How do other players feel about the imbalance? Caitlin, always calm in the storm, kept her answers short. I respect everyone who came before me. I'm just trying to do my part. Truth. Not everyone was buying it. Players across the league began posting cryptic tweets. One simply said, "Years of grinding for this." Another, "Talent been here." No tags, no names, but everyone knew the subtweets were about her. Meanwhile, the Fever's next home game sold out in 5 minutes, outside the arena. Fans were lined up in Caitlin Clark jerseys, holding up signs, like she saved the league, and Clark greater than Curry. The hype wasn't slowing down. It was escalating, and inside the locker rooms of other teams. Resentment started brewing. It wasn't just about her popularity, it was about the narrative. Networks were showing Clark's highlights during other games. Her name was trending even when she didn't play. One night, while another team pulled off a huge upset win, ESPN still led with how Caitlin Clark is changing the league. And that didn't sit right with a lot of people, especially Marina Mabrey, the Chicago Sky Guard known for her grit, edge, and unfiltered energy.
Caitlin Clark throwing touchdowns like Peyton Manning, controlling a game like Tom Brady, putting belt to ass.
Sources say Marina had been vocal behind closed doors. She didn't hate Caitlin, but she hated how fast everything changed because of her. "She's not the first great shooter," Marina reportedly told teammates. "But you'd think she invented the three-pointer." Things came to a head when Indiana played Chicago. The air was thick before tip-off. Both teams felt it. The arena was packed. Not for a rivalry, not for the standings, but for her and Marina. She was ready. From the opening minutes, the tone was set. Physical defense, hard fouls, constant pressure. Marina made it her mission to make Caitlin uncomfortable. Pushing, chirping, getting in her space, and Caitlin. She didn't back down first quarter. She hits a contested three right in Marina's face. Second quarter, she draws a foul, then stares down the bench. Third quarter, Marina responds with a deep shot of her own and lets out a loud "let's go" as she jogs past Caitlin. The back and forth was electric. Fans were eating it up. Social media was on fire. This the rivalry we didn't know we needed. Marina versus Clark equals instant classic. They hate each other and it's beautiful. But behind the highlight reels, something deeper was happening. This wasn't just basketball, this was a power struggle. The old guard versus the new wave. Marina represented every player who fought in silence for years, and Caitlin. She represented change, attention, disruption by the fourth quarter. Both players had their moments, but in the final 2 minutes, with the Fever trailing by 2, the ball found Caitlin at the top of the arc. Marina switched. Onto her, crowd screaming. Cameras zoomed in. Caitlin dribbled once. Pump fake, sidestep, and then bang. 3-pointer. Bottom of the net, the crowd exploded. Marina didn't even look up. She just turned, clenched her jaw, and walked away. Fever. Win by 1. Reporters swarmed Caitlin post-game. "What did that shot mean to you? Was this personal? Did you hear what Marina said before the game?" She just smiled. "It meant we won." Nothing more, but the clip went viral. Not just because of the shot, but because of the silence. And silence, in this case, was louder than any trash talk. By the next morning, fans were debating all over again. Is the league jealous of Caitlin Clark? Should the WNBA be doing more to spotlight everyone? Or is this just how generational talent shifts the culture? One thing was clear. The tension was real, and it wasn't going anywhere. Marina posted a photo that night. No caption. Just her walking off the court. Head down. Comments poured in. Some supportive. Some brutal. Others just said she got Clarked and the league. They were loving every second. Ratings for that game broke another record. Highlights were replayed for days, and the narrative now had fuel. Clark versus the world. Every headline, Every stat, every record-breaking game, it all came back to Caitlin Clark. And now, the weight of carrying an entire league's momentum had begun to show. She wasn't cracking, not yet, but people close to her started noticing the signs. Longer stays in the training room, short one-word answers during press. Social media silence, except for branded posts her team handled, and on the court. Still dominant, still electric, but there was something in her eyes. She was playing with a million thoughts running in. The background. Because this wasn't just about winning games, anymore. This was about maintaining a movement, and that kind of burden. It doesn't let you sleep. After the Chicago Sky showdown, the pressure ramped up even more. Every news segment opened with Clark versus headlines. Every matchup became a rivalry. Every player she faced was either trying to stop her or trying to prove something. I know it wasn't just opponents anymore. Now it was
Averaged 2.1 million viewers and peaked at 2.5 million viewers.
it was teammates. In practice, people started whispering things like, "Why's everything about her? We're winning games too. How come she gets all the endorsements?" Caitlin heard it. She acted like she didn't, but she did. One day, a teammate asked her directly, "You even want all this?" She paused for a second, looked down, then said quietly, "I just wanted to hoop." Meanwhile, the league continued to capitalize. They launched a new campaign, Her League. Her rules centered around Caitlin. Commercials, banners, exclusive TV deals. Even NBA legends were commenting now. Magic Johnson called her the most impactful rookie in modern basketball, men's or women's. Stephen Curry posted her highlight reel with the caption, "I see you, sniper." But with every accolade, the target on her back got bigger. And that's when the fatigue started to show mid-season. During a road game against Las Vegas, Caitlin had her worst shooting night of the year. 2-4-15 from the field, 6 turnovers, it's only 9 points. The internet erupted. She's gassed. Overrated, finally exposed. Told y'all it was hype. Sports shows played the missed shots on repeat. Some even slowed them down, zooming in on her face the next day's practice. Awkward. Coach said nothing. Teammates said less. Caitlin, she stayed late, shooting in an empty gym. Just her and the echo of the ball hitting the hardwood. Later that night, a security guard at the facility said she left with red eyes from sweat, maybe from tears. Probably, but she wasn't done. Just days later, she bounced back with a 38-point masterpiece against the Liberty. Under the lights, with the whole world watching, and she didn't smile once. It was all business. But something had changed. This wasn't about proving she could do it anymore. It was about proving she still wanted to. Backstage, during a post-game interview, a reporter asked her, "Are you enjoying this?" And for the first time, she didn't answer right away. She looked off camera, breathed in, then said, "Some days, yeah. Some days, no." That quote went viral. Some days, no. The league scrambled. Sponsors called for clarification. Fans started posting worried messages. Is she okay? Mental health check. Don't let her burn out. The Fever tried to protect her. Less media. Lighter practice. More rest days. But the schedule didn't care. The next month was brutal. 7 games, 4 cities. National spotlight every night. And yet Caitlin kept showing up, kept hitting shots, kept leading. But behind the scenes, she was writing something. No one knew about. A letter. Not to the league, not to the fans, not to her critics, but to herself. In it, she talked about pressure, about fear, about how sometimes when you're everyone's hero, you forget who you are. She wrote, "They say I saved the league, but who's saving me?" She never intended to share it until the night everything changed. It was an away game in Phoenix. The Fever were down 8 with 2 minutes left. Caitlin had already played 38 minutes. Her legs were heavy. her vision blurry, and still, she fought. She hit a deep three to cut it to 5, then stole the inbounds pass, drew a foul, and hit both free throws. Down 3. Then. On the final possession, she tried to drive past 2 defenders. One stepped under her. She tripped, fell hard, hit the floor with a thud. The arena gasped. She didn't get up right away. Trainers rushed in. Teammates hovered. She stood up eventually, but she looked different. Not injured. Done. That night, she skipped the press room and instead posted a photo on Instagram.
Another of its most watched WNBA games ever with the Indiana Fever's win over the Dallas Wings.
Her sitting on the floor, head bowed, holding a basketball caption. I'm tired. No hashtags. No emo JIS. Just that the world lost its mind. Millions of likes, millions of comments. Players from all over the world send support. Some opened up about their own struggles. Others thanked her for being real, and suddenly, she wasn't just the face of the league. She was the soul of it. The next day, she released the full letter, the one she'd written to herself. It broke the internet because it wasn't about basketball. It was about being human, and that's when the shift happened. The league started making changes, mental health days, media protection clauses, maternal wellness programs, all because one player told the truth. And a few days later, when she walked onto the court again, the crowd didn't just cheer her name. They stood. They held up signs that said, "Thank you, Caitlin." And that night, she dropped 42 points, smiling the whole time, because this time, she wasn't proving anything to anyone else. She was just playing for herself again. And now we ask you, how much weight can one player carry? Caitlin Clark didn't just break records. She broke silence. She showed us the highs, the glory, the game-winning moments, but also the pressure, the burnout, the loneliness behind the spotlight. She reminded us that being great isn't just about numbers. It's about courage. It's about honesty. It's about showing up even when the world expects you to be superhuman. So tell us in the comments. Has Caitlin Clark changed the WNBA forever? Is this a new era, or just the beginning of something even bigger? And most importantly, how do we as fans protect the ones we praise? Don't forget to like this video if you felt something. Subscribe if you believe her story deserves to be heard. Everywhere, and hit that bell, because next time, we're diving into the storm brewing between Caitlin Clark and another WNBA star who's tired of being overlooked. You won't believe what's coming next.
NBA on ESPN is up 7% from last season, man. What? The numbers are crazy. The numbers are crazy. She's a draw. It's as simple as that. She continues to already be the face.